Hey everyone, we're back. This is Tom from Cerulean Bay, and this is Tropical Escapes at Home. We're hoping everybody's having a great day out there. And as we get through this month of February and slowly make our way into March here, springtime is around the corner for a lot of us, and that is something that we absolutely love. As we get into the nice sunnier days and warmer weather and things that inspire us for tropical escapes and how we can capture a bit of that magic and that spirit and just make it part of our daily lives, part of how we live, part of what we see when we're at home. That is just super important. And it's one of our favorite times of year because the weather is inspiring. And as springtime comes around and things come back to life, it's just inspiring. And as it becomes possible weather-wise to start taking those trips and vacations, that's inspiring too. We always encourage people that whenever you're traveling, really wherever you go or whichever vacations you take, just always really pay attention to what you see and what you notice and look at your surroundings. There's always lots out there that can inspire you. There's colors, there's shapes, there's forms, there's things indoors, there's things outdoors. Just pay attention to the details whenever you're out traveling and taking that special vacation, because that's where you can really get some of your most unexpected ideas, things that you would not have normally thought about, or you say, wow, that's really cool. Or, if you can get your phone out, take a picture of it, or just somehow make a note of whatever that was that inspired you and then hang on to that. So that when you get back at home, you can try and think of ways to incorporate that into your personal space, whether that's just a small corner in a room, or you're doing a home office, or a den, or your bedroom. You want to have those flashes of inspirations come to life, because it's like there's nothing worse when you really imagine something cool or you think about it and then it's out of sight, out of mind. And then you're like, geez, what was that? There was something really cool that I thought about, something that would have looked really good that I could have created or something. And then when it's gone, it's gone. So yeah, snap a picture, make a note, do what you need to do to remind yourself. But all of this ties into our episode topic for today, which is accents. And accent pieces can be small, they can be big, they can be things you buy, they can be things you make. They really are things that bring a special life to a place. So I do want to just remind everyone that this is something you should take slowly. It's something that you should just take those deep breaths and relax before embarking on any special projects or making any big purchases, because creating a tropical space should be fun. It should be exciting. It should be relaxing. It should allow you to really immerse yourself in what you envision, that tropical feel and any special cultural aspects about that. Those are important things because they affect your personal well-being in a very positive way. And if you've been fortunate enough to travel, there are going to be things that you saw when you were traveling which are possible to recreate at home when digging around online or finding that cool shop. They might have a piece that really reminds you of that special thing that you saw. So we think accents are just awesome and they're amazing. And they really are a must because they do two things. They not only complete a room and bring a look to fullness, but they draw you into the whole experience of the space. That should be your goal. When you have your tropical escape completed, it's a space that draws you into the experience. It's the whole result of what you imagined, and it's supposed to bring to life that feeling, that special magic that you felt or that you're dreaming about. If you haven't been able to travel yet, you've seen some cool places online, it should help create that feeling for you. So to really get into the details of this, I think it's important to point out that every tropical escape, just like any other room in your house, is going to have its foundational pieces. And by those, I mean your sofas, your coffee tables, dining room tables, bedroom furniture. Those are your foundational pieces. what you want to do is bring those to life with the accents, because if you can imagine on their own, so you clear out a whole room and you just put in some seating furniture, you have your sofas and chairs, or if it's a bedroom, you have your bedroom pieces in there, your bed and nightstands. But then there's nothing else. I mean, just imagine how lifeless is that. It's very, very incomplete. And accents are more than just filling the space. When people buy souvenirs, especially really nice ones, most places you visit globally, you can buy some really beautiful pieces. And as a souvenir, it is an attempt for that person to bring home something that will remind them. It will truly remind them of where they were. To me, they're like almost a subconscious attempt to grab a piece of that place and bring it home so that you can make that connection later on. So many times souvenirs can work as accents if you buy a really beautiful piece of artwork or just a really nice decor piece. They work. We do have a lot of those in our online shop at ceruleanbay.com. Those are very portable pieces that if you were traveling to Fiji or somewhere else, that you could easily buy and bring home in a carry-on bag or in your suitcase. Again, a souvenir, but it would really, really work as an accent. So again, these are pieces that you would buy to recreate that experience. And that's an important thing, because when we pull that together here into our tropical escape, which you'll see here as we move through this episode, that piece, which maybe is just sitting in a random spot right now, once you put it into a place that is designed to have a whole cohesive look to it, it's going to mean that much more. It's really going to have its own part to play. So let's give a good comparison of that empty, lifeless room. I think an easy way for people to imagine what I'm talking about here is just imagine accents as accessories. They're things that you need when you're getting dressed up for a night on a town. So for guys, this could be you have a nice new shirt, you've got a great pair of pants, you're getting dressed, you're putting those on. Ladies, you put on that special dress with shoes to match. You're now technically dressed. And yep, you could walk out the door and go out. But are you really ready to go? Because for guys and girls, your look really isn't complete. For the guys, what about adding that nice belt or a great jacket? Or if it's something more formal and you need a tie, what kind of shoes are you going to wear? Obviously, the right pair for the occasion. And ladies, what accessories are available to you? Jewelry, maybe some makeup. The point with this is that you want to look your best for that special night out. So it's not just putting on a shirt and a pair of pants or just putting on a dress. You're going all the way. You're finishing yourself from top to bottom so that when you walk out, you are dressed for that occasion that you are going out for. And the rooms in your home, they're really no different. You want them to be complete. You don't want them to look incomplete. You don't want it to look like a room that started to go somewhere, but now is just kind of like half storage and half this and half that. And things are just piled on tables or maybe on the floor in the corners, or there's papers just spread out all over a table or a countertop. That's not what you want. You want your room to look complete from start to finish, to where it serves a purpose. And we think this should actually apply to every room in your house, whether it's a tropical escape or not. I mean, houses don't need to look like museums. They don't need to be formal and stuffy. I really believe in having a home that looks lived in, that looks like there's life in it, and everything isn't just constantly organized and in perfect order, and it looks like nobody lives there. Again, like a museum. That's just not our style. But for the purposes of your tropical escape, yeah, it should look complete. It should look pulled together, but it obviously should be casual. It should be comfortable. It should be a place where you kick your shoes off at the end of the day and have your favorite beverage and just relax and be comfortable and let it just take you to another place, transport you to that special tropical scene. We are a big believer in that, and it works for many people. It works for us. So yeah, that's what we're going to do here. One thing we would emphasize with that is be careful about what you're choosing. We love to say no to the cheap and the ordinary. You should stay away from low quality things. things that are cheaply made. At the end of the day, these things really have no value and they're not going to add in a meaningful way to that look that you're after. They don't convey anything of value. They don't really speak about a particular country or culture. I mean, honestly, we make no apologies when we say that cheap, mass produced tropical looking things that are made in China or anywhere else, where they're just cranked out by the thousands, those are just simply worthless and they're not going to add authenticity to a space. And authenticity really, really means a lot. You really want to look like you have pieces that nobody else has or that they're super hard to find. It's not something that you can just run out to your closest big box home decor store where they've got shelves and shelves full of these things. A couple of those pieces, as we've said before, they're fine. They're nice. They can fill in a corner. They can help balance out a look, but you really do want authenticity. And I guess I should make a little statement about not all not all factory made stuff is bad. I don't want to come across like that. There are some very high quality, great products that are factory made, which can be effective. Just be discerning, be choosy, be picky. It's not something you got to spend a lot of money on, but again, this is your space. You want it to be special. At the end of the day, you want things that will stand the test of time. They're not going to fall apart. They're not going to land in the trash in 2 or 3 years. That's what we mean when we're talking about things that are cranked out by the thousands, are things that can just easily end up in the trash. You're going to see right through that stuff. If you try to decorate your space with that, you're going to see right through it. And it's not going to really create any good emotional connection, a true sense of calm. I'm telling you, authentic decor, that's what it does. When you are holding something in your hand that somebody else in a real far away land created, it's almost like you're connecting with that person and their culture. And I think that's awesome. Every time that you look at that piece, you're holding it. When you combine that with other high quality pieces and they're used in the right numbers and the right combinations, and you've got your colors and fabrics and prints and plants and all of this going on, I'm telling you, the whole thing just comes together and speaks its own wonderful language to you. We do always say, start off with what you already have. There's just too many times we've come across people who've said, oh, I've got a house full of stuff and nothing is going to work for what I want to do. And I just always have to tell these people, just take one thing at a time, separate it out, pull it into another room, see what it looks like there, and just study it for a bit and just see if it speaks to you. Whether it's a small little desktop or tabletop item or it's a large piece of furniture or something, just give it some careful consideration because this is something that's already in your home and it might work perfectly well. So once you've done that, and if you're finding that, well, maybe everything that you do currently have isn't going to work, begin visualizing what your completed space would look like. Just take a few quiet minutes, close your eyes, and think if there's anything I could do with this space to make it a cool tropical place, what are the things I would want to see? And identify those, write them down. It can be anything, maybe from some new artwork, maybe a change in lighting, maybe a new chair or an ottoman, just some basic decor pieces. You have to get inside your own head and create that picture of your ideal place that you can create within your own home and write down what it looks like. Make a list. And then this is where you'll get online and start looking for those things. Check our online store. Read a couple of our different blog posts. Just get online and start looking and see. So having said that, if you can imagine, maybe you've got a small sofa, a small marble or wooden coffee table, maybe a couple of cane chairs. Those are some great foundational pieces. Then, if you can imagine things that you can bring in, plants, whether they're real or fake, artwork, tabletop decor, maybe some cool rugs. Those are some ways that you can really bring your foundational elements to life. We really love the use of cane and rattan and bamboo. other wicker pieces, things that are woven, because they can really fill a space, but they're very light. They're very airy. They're literally see-through. So they are very good at filling spaces without overpowering a room, and they give you that nice light and airy tropical look. If you're somebody who's maybe a little hesitant to use a lot of color, and your foundational pieces that you currently have or that you're planning to get are largely monochromatic, which is where everything is largely one neutral color. A lot of times these are in beiges or whites, grays, even blacks. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to create a look that recreates the feel of the tropics, but it's not impossible. When these pieces speak to you, keep them. They are usable. There are ways that you can bring in that tropical feel. We just so strongly encourage people to use what they have that they really, really like, because at the end of the day, it's your house. It's your look. You can create whatever look you want. You're the boss. So just know that if there's a piece that you want to keep and incorporate in, it is very possible to do that. If you do happen to be somebody who really does like a lot of color and just doesn't have it right now, and again, you've got a lot of monochromatic pieces, then yeah, you're going to need a decent amount of accents with some color that will bring the room to life with that tropical energy. Another important point about accents is, as you're considering these and you're looking at what you might already own or you are considering buying, really consider the size and the scale. You want to have a balance. Depending on the size of your space, that's really going to dictate the size of pieces that you can have. One example that I share with people is our own home. We have what I think is a pretty big house. It's 3,600 square feet. It's got 6 bedrooms in it. There's a game room upstairs that we converted to a bedroom years ago. But the living area in this house is not that big. When you're in our living room, it's a very open concept with a breakfast area and a kitchen. I equate it to being in an apartment. It's not that big. It's got the 9-foot ceilings, but it's a tough house to entertain in. The furniture that we have in our living room is actually made for apartments and condos because regular living room size furniture is too big. This house is literally all bedrooms. So it just goes to tell you that the entire size of your house has nothing to do with the actual size of your tropical escape. If you end up having only a small space to use and you live in a 10,000 square foot house, well, your small space is going to dictate the size of what you can have in there. So be careful with actual furnishings, the foundational pieces, because those really should not overcrowd in terms of space. Because one thing you want with accents is they need their own space. Even if they're desktop or tabletop pieces, they need to be able to make a statement. They need to be able to speak to the rest of the room. You don't want big, giant pieces of furniture stuffed in a little room and then trying to put accents in there where you're not going to notice them because the size and scale of your furniture is overpowering everything. It's almost suffocating the accents, which is what you don't want. On the other side of that is if you have a big room, just a larger space, and you don't have a lot of furnishings in there and you're trying to put some accents here and there, it's going to look sparse. It's going to look empty. It will obviously look like something is out of whack, and you don't want that. We don't want tropical spaces that are out of whack. That definitely will not work. So consider the size and scale of your furnishings, of your accent pieces, of colors. As we've mentioned before, colors on the walls, just remember darker colors shrink a room, lighter colors will make a room light up and just become airier, a little bigger. So keep that in mind. When you are finished with everything, what you want is that everything is balanced and pleasing to the eye, including the colors. What I do refer people to after these episodes is our actual blog posts. We've got several blog posts about these topics, and I'll be sure to connect this link about accents in the episode notes, because then you've got some imagery too. For some people, it's easier to imagine things than for others. Some people who are visual, it's very helpful to have actual imagery. And we've got some great imagery in there, which will help explain what we're talking about here. One thing you can do when you do have larger rooms are go ahead and place the pieces that you have, get your accents in place that you think will help complete the look. And then if there's still just too much dead space around or furnishings are just spread too far apart, there are things you can do to fill in those spaces. You can get smaller accent tables, end tables, things that you could put a nice lamp on, or maybe a nice potted plant or some other decor piece. Ottomans are a great way to fill in these kinds of spaces. Ottomans are actually pretty cool because they can be multifunctional. You can get the ones where they have a removable lid or a flip top lid, and they act as great storage places for blankets or whatever else you might need for the room. Plants are another great consideration. Again, whether you're into real ones or fake ones, they come in all shapes and sizes. And sizing is important here because in bigger rooms, you can get bigger plants, and they are perfect for filling in dead spaces or corners where you just don't have anything that will fit. Bring in some big leaf tropicals, bring in some hanging vines if possible, if you can make them work appropriately, and set them up on a shelf where then they hang down and they can cover some wall space or help fill in a corner. I can't say enough about plants. I think they're very underrated. People don't give them enough consideration. Just my usual disclaimer about plants, whether they're real or fake, they need to be cared for. You have to dust them. They do need to be cleaned. Really, the only thing you won't need to worry about with the fake ones is watering them. But fake plants collect a lot of dust. It almost starts to showcase their fakiness if you don't clean them enough. It just accentuates the fact that they're not real. So take care of your plants, your fake ones, your real ones. Look at your current wall art too, because a good tip about wall art is larger pieces will help to fill in a room, even if you don't really have a lot of things taking up your floor space. So if your floor space is kind of sparse, you can have bigger wall art, and visually that will help to fill the room. So depending on the size and shape of your room, if you feel that you have enough furniture pieces or you just don't want to go buy anymore, or they're just not accessible for whatever reason, look at good wall art, bigger pieces. You don't want to get a bunch of smaller wall art and then have a lot of that on the wall, because now it'll start to look busy. It'll start to look cluttered. Then things start to get out of balance again. Clutter is one thing you want to avoid across the board. You just don't want things to look too cluttery. So watch that with your wall space, but it is an area where you can get as creative as you want. Textural pieces are really good when you get into like woven mats or anything that just has a lot of coarse surfaces and textures. These add a lot of filling for a room as well. So just keep that in mind. And then obviously you're going to be looking at lighting. Every tropical space needs some good lighting. We're a big fan of dimmers because nice, soft, dim lighting where you can chill and relax. To me, there's like almost nothing better than that. But then you want to be able to light it up too, as you need. If anybody else is joining you in your tropical space for visiting or sharing that glass of wine or cracking open a beer or whatever you might have, you want to have it bright enough. You want your lighting to be functional. So yeah, consider dimmers. Dimmers are cool. But lighting is also a great class of accents because they transform spaces depending on the shading that they create. Actual lamp shades are considered accents too. Everything just doesn't have to be a plain boring shade. There's some really cool shades out there. There's one, you'll see a picture of it on our website there in our blog post. There's a company, I believe it's called Mooi, and it has 3 O's, Mooi. I believe it's a Dutch company. They're not cheap, but they have these birds, and I think they're made out of almost like a parchment type paper or something. I haven't seen one in person, but the website's pretty amazing. And they have, I guess it's like an LED lighting or something that's inside, but the bird is very softly lit, but it puts out a good amount of light and it sits on a perch. And I think they rock back and forth too. But just Very, very cool. And one reason I wanted to mention this is because, yes, it is a very expensive accent to get. They do a floor lamp, they do wall sconces. Sconces, for those of you who don't know, are wall fixtures which are mounted directly to the wall. They've got some birds like that too. Well, one thing which kind of goes back to the quality issue that we were talking about at the top of the show is quality. You want to watch quality, and that involves knockoffs. And sadly, there are just a lot of knockoffs out there, not just in the world of lighting, but in the world of everything. I mean, I think when you get into jewelry and things like ladies' accessories like purses and all of that, there's a ton of knockoffs, obviously, fake this and fake that. Well, when you get into home accents, there is too. And with these birds, I actually came across them online where there are some, they're made in China, and I think I found them on Amazon where they were a fraction of the cost. But if you read the reviews, wow, it's amazing that anybody even buys these things because the lighting works for less than a year, or if the little rocking feature that it has, they would stop working. Things were just poorly made. So read those reviews. Um, yeah, because the other thing I should mention here with lighting is in the world of energy efficiency, a lot of things now have non-replaceable built-in bulbs. So when a bulb goes out, that's the game. There's nothing you can do. Really be careful when you're looking at your lighting fixtures to see whether or not bulbs are replaceable. If they are replaceable, how easy are they to get? Are they expensive? Because that was one of the other things in these knockoffs is that when you have a non-replaceable bulb, you've just spent money on something, that might not have been horribly expensive, but still it only adds to the cheap factor. It just adds to the fact that this cheap knockoff is now going to end up in a landfill somewhere, which is something I don't think any of us want. But yeah, be careful with lighting, or with anything else that you're buying, especially if it's going to be in a brand name or designer name space. Be very careful. If you've got the budget for it and you want the real thing, make sure you're getting the real thing because some of these knockoffs, they look pretty close, but the quality is just horrible. So at this point, I think we can just do a quick recap. With accents, obviously, they include lighting. They do include plants, but they are things you put on tables, things you put on desks, things for the floor. They are wood carvings. They're blown glass, pottery, ceramics, sculptures, metal sculptures, wood, things made of stone. They're things which really add depth and texture. They can be very light and color free or monochromatic, or they can be bold and just full of all kinds of colors. So just keep all of that in mind and let your personality run wild with it. Just again, avoid clutter, keep things in balance. You don't want too many bold pieces competing for attention because you might not notice it so much, but you can get a friend or a family member to come in the room and ask for their honest feedback. And some people will tell you, well, wow, I noticed that. Yeah, and I noticed this and that and this and that. Right there, that'll tell you you've got too many things competing for attention. So you want to have a focal point or two, and you want to have each decor piece speak on its own, but that's what they should be doing is like kind of speaking in turn. You have these pieces and then you have those pieces and you've got that wall art and everything just kind of flows and creates one really awesome look. That's what you want. So I do want to mention quickly too, before I forget about personalization. We're big believers in sentimental value and personal mementos, and these are great ways to personalize your space. So bring in the picture frames, and if you're not happy with the frames you have, but the subject matter in them, some really cool family photos or vacation photos, or just get the right frames to fit your space. Pictures are awesome. We just love when people bring in, you know, anything that really is representation of their life. Bring that into your space as well. A note about candles. Be careful with those, obviously. Big fire hazards if you've got small children or you don't pay attention to them. but real ones are fine. There's a lot of great battery operated ones out there these days. They create a really peaceful mood at night, and they definitely play their part, and they can fit in. But just be careful with anything that has a live flame. And I think that's it. I'm taking a quick look at my notes here, and I feel like I've covered everything that I wanted to bring to you today, and really just to help emphasize the fact that accents bring life and completeness to a room. Placement is everything. Just make sure you have the best layout possible and let those accents do their work. When you've got everything placed in a way that makes the most sense, you're going to know it. You're going to feel it. You're going to have that feeling that says, wow, I did it. This is actually pretty cool. This is nice. I really do like that. When you have that feeling and you're able to say that, you're going to know you hit the mark. So, yeah, get online, start looking, check out our little online store, check out our blog posts, visit your local home decor retailers, go to the good ones. Again, you don't have to spend tons and tons of money. This all depends on your personal budget, but it's not a requirement. As we've said before, go to an estate sale or two. Go check out your local consignment shops. Check out estatesales.net. If you've got good quality thrift stores, go check those out. There are people who just donate all kinds of things because they have to. For whatever reason, if people need to empty a house and they don't want to deal with selling anything on their own, they'll take it to a thrift store. You can find some really, really good things. We have a blog post about that too, so check it out. And yeah, I think there you have it. So accents, they are your friend. Make them your friend. We love them. They are really, really great because there's a million different ones out there. And we just encourage you to do some digging, get creative, look for some new freshness and life, and then create that awesome tropical escape that is just for you. So having said that, we're going to wish you well. Thanks so much again for joining us, for taking time out of your busy day. It's just so awesome when people take time out of their busy schedules to spend 30 minutes or so with us. It really means a lot. Look us up on Patreon, Cerulean Bay, or Tropical Escapes at Home. We really appreciate your support there. We've got some great membership options for you. And then, yeah, check us out on social media. We'll have the post about accents in the episode show notes for today. But yeah, go have an awesome day, and we will catch you in our next episode. Thanks again. Take care.